World Championship here at round 10 at Yas Marina Circuit. It is the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So excited to have you all join us for what is going to be a very exciting qualifying and race that we are about to jump into. For those who might not be aware at this moment, I'm Fallen Monkeys, your host here for the session, joined once again by Asunik in the commentator's booth. And Asunik, how you doing today? Excited for the racing action we have here today?
Absolutely. With the break week, it's been a little antsy in the paint to get back in the booth and on the track, and these Div 2 guys should feel the same.
Oh yeah, I definitely antsy in the pantsy myself, to use your wording, to get back into the commentary's booth and also back on the track. Division 3 had a really exciting race, if I'm being completely honest here, considering what we've grown accustomed to with Abu Dhabi. Now here with Division 2. I'm going to expect more of the same, and honestly, I don't even know if we should really expect. I think it's just going to be a given, considering what we've seen all season long from these Division 2 drivers at every race up to this point, and I think here in Abu Dhabi, it is going to be more of the same, very close, very exciting racing action, as we've grown accustomed to seeing here for the Division 2 Championship. Now here, before we jump into the race, of course, we do have our short qualifying session, 18 minutes of non-stop qualifying action, and it is going to be the McLaren of KTM Sweden leading the way on their outlap. Now, as I'm riding here with the McLaren, Asunik, just take us through what are some things that we should be looking out for here as far as, or some talking points leading into this race, I should say, for this Grand Prix.
Well, as always, we got to take a look at the championship standings. Mivako still out front. One of the championship leaders in the league so far who's yet to actually take a top step of the podium, but a guy who's really starting to find his rhythm right now is Irish New Potato, just 20 points back, 209 to 189, and then Laparta, who's just been silently just chipping and chipping and chipping away. He is only 10 points back from Irish New Potato, respectively, with 179. So things are starting to get a little bit closer as we start to get into the second half of the season here. So maybe look for Irish New Potato, Mivako, just having that battle that we've seen so far this season happen during the race, because obviously it's been exciting so far, and Mivako being the one out front. So Laparta and Irish New Potato will be pushing to try and take that top spot away.
Oh, definitely. And here with 7 rounds to go, if we do include this one, we're starting to hit crunch time for a lot of these racers here to try to get those drivers' standings positions, try to get those points for the drivers' championship, for the constructors. And as you mentioned, it's a really close battle up to the lead, so still anybody's to play for, especially not to take anything away from Ivako or Nole, as you might see on your screen at home, but you know, as you said, Irish New Potato and even Laparta, who's been sort of lurking in the shadows, they've really come out with an extra step, with an extra gear in these last few races. So I'm definitely not sitting comfortably if I'm Ivako right now. But I'll be doing all I can to try to. Oh my goodness, words are being a little bit difficult for me. Apologies. The break week is affecting myself in the commentator's booth. But if I'm Mivako, I know what I have to do. Just come out, pump these victories, pump these laps out, and try to get some good results while equally trying to keep everybody behind. But we do have KTM Sweden leading the way. He's got, of course, a purple Sector 1, a purple Sector 2 for the moment as the lead driver on a flying lap. And we'll have to see where the time is going to fall. I know Division 3, I think they were right around, I believe it was the 134s for the faster times, so I'd expect to see maybe some 133s, potentially some 132s near the end of qualifying, if I'm going to guesstimate, but we'll see where the bar is going to be set as KTM Sweden crosses the line. It's a 134.4 as the first lap time on the board here for this Division 2 qualifying, as the leader of the championship, Nole Mivako, sets a 134 flat to start. Vito right behind, it's a 134.123. I love those type of numbers, if I'm being honest with you there.
Yep.
But I'll jump and I'll right on board with Laparta. We were talking about him. Let's see what he can do for his first lap as he's
D-Mort's huge contact in Sector 3, just lost the rear and he's out, unfortunately.
Oh no.
You hate to see it.
You hate to see that for D-Morse without even a time on the board very early in qualifying, so that's probably going to be near the back of the grid, possibly a last place start for D-Morse. You see that car there, and Sunak, I don't know if you saw what happened. It almost looked like as if he might have clipped the curb a little bit too much, lost the car, and crashed out on the wall. Was that what happened there?
Yeah, just a little, like, as you enter through underneath that beautiful hotel that we always get to see here at Yas Marina, just on the inside curb, put the throttle on too hard, and around she went. It's unfortunate for D-Morts, but he'll be able to pick through the pack here and make his way up towards the top 10 finish, I do believe, on pace. So, it's unfortunate, but I'm sure he can recover.
Oh, I'm sure he can too. D-Morts, of course, he's shown a lot of pace here in the Division 2 Championship this year. Former Division 3 driver from last season and showed a lot of pace there. Definitely has not missed a step. Now, I'm going to switch on board with CRL Mark, I think formerly known as the Mark. Here on the in the timing tables, a little bit of a name change, but the same driver, same pace that we're used to seeing in that Alfa Romeo. And I know we haven't spoken much about V-Mark, at least here today, but he always seems to be a driver similar to his teammate Cohen, that always seems to find his way near the top of the leaderboards. And here, as he's on his first flying lap, we'll see if he can keep that up here in Abu Dhabi. I know this track is a little bit hit and miss with the drivers. I know myself, I'm not a big fan of this track, especially Sector 3, but I know some drivers really like it, and I mean, wow, so that's still up into P6, a 134.5 for Mark, but I don't know if you saw that too, Sunak. That was practically slow down to a stop at the line. So,
my man's tried to negate his lap and somehow beat my lap time qualifying. Respect to V-Mark.
So that is, like we were mentioning, given that lap that he set, even with the slowdown, a little bit of sandbagging for Mark there, maybe looking to, probably, I'll be honest, looking to put on the medium tires, I would think, before the end of qualifying and see what that'll do, but not looking to compromise that lap time oh so early. Because from what I've heard, in terms of the strategy, some drivers might be trying the two-stop. If you are going to put on the soft tires, you're essentially committing to the two-stop if you're starting with that. But I know with those mediums, you can definitely one-stop, do a mediums to hards, and really try to make that one-stop work for you. And a driver like Mark, and I mean, I think Cohen may be trying that as well. It is definitely a possibility. You just have to manage the tires a little bit more. But in my experience, Abu Dhabi wasn't really much of a track that involved much tire degradation. And, well, speaking of medium tires, that's Irish Newt Potato setting a 134.1 on those two-lap old medium tires. Good enough for fourth. So a bit of a position we're used to seeing Irish Newt Potato in as far as qualifying in the top of the order. But still, lots of time to go, lots of time for this order to switch around here before the end of the session. Now, let's jump over to the Mercedes of Chris Nerazzurro. We've seen him a lot in Div 4, back here in Div 2, and that is unfortunately an invalidation right as I switch over to him at that same corner that we saw D-Morts have a moment in. So thankfully, not the worst possible outcome, but unfortunately for Chris Nerazzurro, that's very quickly diving into the pits to put on a fresh set of tires, get another lap in. So, let's move on to somebody else. Michael Fierez, El Biku, he's on a lap right now, just starting his lap on the medium tires. So, we'll see what kind of lap times he can put up. And I feel with El Biku, maybe not the season he was hoping for thus far in terms of positions, in terms of points. Has been a little bit unlucky, if I'm being honest, getting caught up in some incidents that just sort of wrong place, wrong time. But here in the back stretch after the second break, it is the back stretch, the home stretch here for these races. So we'll see if he can put that pace together like we know he has, and maybe get some strong showings out of it. Rides that curb, has a little bit of a tank slapper, a nice little drift through on his flying lap there coming into the second DRS straight, but does keep that under control, can continue on, maybe a little bit of time loss though, with those tires sliding around rather than gripping down as as we saw there. But through into the technical portion of Sector 3, we'll have to see how he's going to fare. And like I said, I'm not a fan of Sector 3. I do feel this is a very, probably the harder sector of the track. Of course, Sector 2 is just 2 straights and a chicane. Sector 1, more or less around the same, if I'm being honest. A tiny little bit difficult. But Sector 3, I feel, is where you can really make or break a lap, really gain or lose the most amount of time depending on how you handle it, how that setup goes. But it's a 135.7 for El Biku, and I think that was, who was that? That was Lorenzo, I think, who crossed the line right behind with a 135.1 on the soft tires. So we're starting to see some times fall from most of these drivers. Let's see what Potgetter can do. Former Division 3 driver, up into Division 2 now, and if I recall correctly, before the break, hasn't really missed a beat, given the fastest Sector 2, really showing he hasn't missed much of any beat between Sector 3, or Division 3 and Division 2, and we'll see if he can put that lap together here, and maybe put himself up in the top portion of the leaderboards on those soft tires.
Yeah, he's probably had a little bit of practice, given he was a participant in the league versus league race versus CRL, so, I mean, driver's very familiar with the track, and he's showing it with the pace very smooth through Sector 3, as you discussed, very technical. Now, during the race, too, you got to understand, Sector 3 is going to be one of the harder parts of this. Oh, wow. That's a 134.187, so puts him up into 7th. A new potato out there. I didn't even realize it. Setting 134.1 on the medium, so obviously he's got pace in hand as Mivako just crushed. Is that did he set that lap and I didn't see it?
I believe so, because even I was looking at the timing tables, and they were sitting around the 134s earlier on, but then as I was taking a look, Potgetter set that 134.1, and I was trying to figure out why I'd only put him into 6th or 7th, and then taking a look, yeah, we're seeing a lot of low 134s, so really not even a tenth of a second separates 3rd all the way down to 7th, just to show how close these times are. And then we have KTM Sweden and Mivako already breaking into the 133s, but it's Mivako's 133.6. That's the fastest time on the board so far, and I completely missed that time
Sweden
myself.
Has a lot of fans in our chat right now. Several people giving the old shout out to Sweden there. So Sweden, you got the fans. Time to show them what you got. Ooh, and I smashed my phone.
But but so far, really putting on a show for these fans. Up into was P2, up into down into P3 now, as that was Cohen who just set a quicker time, surpassing the time set from Mivako and Nole. Up into provisional pole is the Alfa Romeo of Cohen with his 133.610, so a couple hundredths of a second faster than Mivako's time, and I think that was Mark that just crossed the line going faster on the medium tires, and breaking into the 133s only just with a 133.918 on that fresh set of medium tires. So there we go. I think that maybe answers that question here for Mark, why he slowed down right at the line on that first lap with the softs, because he knew he had that potential top 10 pace on those medium tires. And really shows that there, breaking into the 133s and the fastest driver to have that time set on the medium tires. So let's see, let's ride with Mark's Mello as he's just about to finish a lap. Up into 8th goes Mark's Mello. It's a 134.1. Now remind me, Asunik, as I'm actually blanking here. Was Mark's Mello, is that his permanent seat here in the Williams, or is he here reserving this week?
No, he was actually a concurrent driver in Division 3 last season, and when offered a chance to move up to the Division 2 ranks, he had a little bit of a time scheduling conflict and was unable to participate, but it's the first I've seen him since, I want to say, halfway through Season 3, so good to see a returning driver, and good to see that his pace hasn't missed a step either.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because I did remember seeing him, in Division 3 last year and kind of running away with the championship in Division 3, so definitely has the pace here in Division 2, and seeing that the very low 134s, another 134.1 for Mark's Mello, really putting himself right into the thick of it here with that lap time. Now I'm riding right now with the Renault of Krishna here. As we know, Krishna, he's shown a lot of pace, had a very solid race before the break week here. I think it was in Japan that he had that very solid race, that podium for himself. So we'll see if he can ride that momentum. Still no time on the board for Krishna. But now here in the dying stages of qualifying, 3 minutes to go, really going to have to be perfect because not much time left anymore to get around and set one last lap if he does mess it up. Even more so if he's looking to take one last pit stop before setting a final lap, because with the time it takes to get around, you're lapping 1.5 minutes when you're going at your fastest. Normally I would think maybe 2 minutes or so, 2 minutes and 15 seconds for the out lap and in lap if you're conserving those tires. So we'll have to see. It looks to be a pretty good lap for Krishna as he's about to cross the line, but only in P14 for the medium tire runner. So not the pace that we grew accustomed to seeing before the break week, but potentially maybe holding back here. I think Krishna does show a little bit more pace in the race than he does in qualifying. But I would expect to see him poke his nose near the top of the leaderboards here once we get into the race. So Chris Nerazzurro, only driver who has yet to set a time, and like I was mentioning, going to have to be near perfect here on those soft tires, because I don't think he can afford going around one last time. And
Irish New Potato leaving the pits now on the softs, so he is gonna go for pole here. You would have to assume all the drivers that came out there, even who was it that we saw? Mark, who had slowed down. It says he has a soft tire fitted, so I guess we'll see.
We'll see what happens with that. And that's something that we'll keep an eye out. I think once qualifying ends and all these flying laps are flying, Vito, he just set another lap, and it was a 134.0. Chris Nerazzurro, who we were running on board with, crossed the line. It's a 135.4. But I think now he's probably on a bit more of a true lap, as still with that ERS on 2. And I think now with the lowest possible fuel, I think he's going to be pushing. Really has nothing to lose. Oh, well, about that. Never mind. Not necessarily on a lap, as completely forgets about the corner, I guess, is one way to put it. Going right through, taking that alternate layout here for Abu Dhabi. But here, let's give the fans watching at home what they want to see. Oh, maybe a little bit of a commentator's curse, as that was KTM Sweden, who I wanted to show a little bit of love to, very promptly diving into the pits. So that's going to be the end of his qualifying, I think, with 40 seconds to go. But with a 133.8, really a solid position here. Here comes Mivako. Let's stick with Mivako here with 30 seconds to go. He's got a purple first sector, so going fastest in the first sector. So he's making a run for pole position. But Cohen also a little bit further behind here, just setting his final lap as well. But I don't think he's went faster in the first sector here, as I didn't see a purple sector 1 on his timing table as I switched over to him. So maybe through sector 1, I think Mivako showing a little bit more pace. But we still have to keep an eye out on drivers like Irish Nude Potato and Laparta, who I think are also on their last lap, as qualifying has ended here. I'll stick with Mivako as he's leading the way through these last stages of qualifying. Will Mivako potentially take pole? We'll find out here sooner rather than later. He's looking to beat his 133.6, coming through into Sector 3. Only a few corners to go now for Mivako until we get to the big reveal of what the time is. 2 corners to go now, just these right-handers to take before he crosses the line. What's it going to be? Heads to the line. It's a 133.3 for Mivako. What a lap that was. I'll switch over to Cohen as he's only got a few corners to go. Is Cohen going to make a push for pole here at the final possible moment? Last corner, heads to the line. Is it going to be faster?
Wow.
Yes, it is. It's a 133.307. No. And off to, oh no, right as I was going to switch to Irish Nude Potato, I see him off track. And that is going to be it for his qualifying. Let's see, Jordan, he's on a lap right now, down in 11th. So we'll see if he can find that time as he's coming through sector 3. I'm not too sure if he's going to be pushing for essentially pole position, but we'll see if he can break through into the top 10. But actually, right as I switch over to him, he shuts off that ERS, so I think he's abandoning his lap. So I think that's going to do it here for qualifying, for our short qualifying session here at Abu Dhabi. Yes, it is, as Jordan dives into the pits, not going to cross the line. So there we have it, right at the line, right at the final moment. It is Cohen who is going to be starting from pole position with Mivako on the front row of the grid right alongside him. And KTM Sweden rounding out the top 3, the qualifying podium, I guess you could call it there, for the McLaren team. So really putting himself into a great position to start this race. And looking at the best times, keep an eye out on Mark. Not necessarily a faster time for Mark. Going to be starting in 4th, but I believe only he and Irish Newt Potato, they're the only 2 drivers in the top 10 who will be starting on the medium tires. So they can essentially try to push that one stop and try to hold on to track position rather than what I believe the rest of the top 10 is going to do, which is probably a 2-stop soft mediums. But there we have it.
My question to you is: do we see Dark starting in P12? Do we see the Dark strategy, the hard tires?
I'm gonna say it right now. I think we're gonna see Dark putting on the hard tires and trying that reverse hard to soft strategy in 12th, just outside of the top 10. And I mean, like you said, it is the we're dubbing it the Dark strategy, that reverse start on the hard tires, get onto the softs right at the end. But I would not be surprised to see Dark in that Red Bull try to pull it off. It has worked out for him for the most part, other than really only I think it was really only Japan or the one of those races in the right before the second break that it didn't work out for him. But mostly just due to the cold tires just not breaking in as quickly as he wanted. But we have seen that we have seen that before, that he really pulls it off, and I mean, I'm hoping that he can do it here, and totally not due to the combined constructors championship we have going on. But here we go. That was the end of qualifying. Don't worry, I'll take us through the grid order once we jump into the formation lap. But before that, we're gonna take a bit of a moment, let the drivers get into the mindset of the race, get out of the qualifying mindset, figure out their strategies, well, psych, Marksmello, he's ready to go. He hits that ready up button well before the cue to go for it. That could be a possible penalty coming from Marksmello, as we'll see what the stewards have to say about that, because that was essentially a very early ready up from the Williams reserve driver.
Yeah, I had a feeling. I was like, it's going to be one of these reserve drivers. Usually Div 2 is actually one of the better tiers in, or divisions rather, to not hit that button. But you're going to run through the order, and I will let you take care of that.
Perfect. So let's get the tire choice up here for the more for the bottom runners, but it is Cohen leading the way, starting from pole position with ISRL, Nole, or Mivako, who will be starting in second right behind him. In third, KTM Sweden, I guess the fan favorite in the chat from what we saw earlier. Brought that McLaren up into third. We'll see what he can do if he's maybe going to make a charge for the victory here. With CRL Mark in fourth on the medium tires, the lead driver on those mediums. So keep an eye out on Mark, as he's going to go a little bit longer here, I think, than the top three. Laparta rounding out the top five on the soft tires, with the Red Bull of Vito in sixth, also on the soft tires. Irish Newt Potato qualified in seventh. He's also on those medium tires, so expect to see him and Mark lurking in the shadows and maybe being at the top of the timing tables in this middle stage, going a little bit longer. With Ephraim in 8th on the softs, Marksmello in 9th on the soft tires, and Potgetter rounding out the top 10 on the soft tires. Now, rest of the grid order, we have Jordan, best of the rest, in 11th on those medium tires. And, would you look at that, in 12th is the other Red Bull of Dark. putting on the hard tires, so is going for that coveted reverse hard to stop or hard to soft strategy, I believe. So keep an eye out on Dark here as this race plays along in that Red Bull. With Synchro in 13th in the Racing Point on the mediums. Krishna in 14th on those medium tires as well. So not where he was hoping to be, but might be trying to work his way up the grid here from with that fresh set of mediums. Lorenzo in the Ferrari, rounding out the top 15 on the medium tires. And Elbiku in 16th, the only other driver other than Dark who's putting on those hard tires. So looking to go much longer than the rest of the field, similar to Dark on that fresh set of hard tires. Chris Nirazuro down in 17th on the medium tires. Simi in 18th on the medium tires. We didn't see him in, I think we did see him in qualifying. Not used to seeing him down the order here in 18th. Normally he does qualify a little bit up there with the likes of Mivako, Mark, Leparc, Cohen. But gonna have his work cut out for him here in 18th. And Demorts, after the early accident here in qualifying, he put on the soft tires, but going to be starting from 19th from the back of the grid. But I do expect to see a little bit of a quick jump from Demorts, being the only driver outside the top 10 who's put on those soft tires. So I think really trying to get those overtakes done in the early stages when everybody's going to be bunched together off the start. So that is the order here to start the race, and right as Cohen is about to cross the final corner to take his positions. Any final remarks from you, Sunik, before we jump into the 5 red lights in the start of the race?
Well, let's just hope these drivers just maintain their patience as we've seen them do all season. Really low incident rates on lap 1 for Division 2 guys. But let's just keep it clean into turn 1. Keep your head down, boys. As we know, this track is a highly technical, aerodynamic-based track. So nicking even a little bit of that front wing will cost you, especially Sector 3 and 1 with the dirty air. So keep it clean, boys.
Definitely. You heard it here first from Sunik. Keep it clean in lap 1 and through the entire race. We'll see how that fares. But here we go. It is going to be 28 laps around Yas Marina, up to 5 red lights and very quick lights, and we're off racing here as it looks to be a very good start from Ivako as he takes the lead going into turn 1. Cohen really lagging down a little bit, falling down into second, as it looks as though for the most part everybody getting through the first set of corners cleanly here. You love to see that. But Mivako very early on getting that start he needed, taking the lead of the race. There's some shuffling of the order. We've got some battles. That's Mark and Leparc battling, and now Vito's going to get involved as they're coming through the first hairpin down the first of 2 long straights. And you're seeing Mark Smello getting a bit of a better line, but can't find that traction out of the corner. So still single file for the most part as they're barreling into the first chicane after this long back straight. I'm seeing an AlphaTauria. That's Irish Newt Potato trying to make a move. Ooh, ghosting in the into the likes of Mark Smello there. Not too sure what's going on with that ghosting. But we're starting to see some moves here in these early stages. Here comes Ephraim trying to pass Jordan, but Jordan holding on to that P9 as Ephraim still settles in 10th here now, so watch out for Lorenzo right behind. Further down the order, we've got Simi and Elbiku having a little bit of a battle. Elbiku in 15th, Simi still in 16th, but it was a nice little battle, but it's tough to go side by side through these chicane sections here after those long straights. You do have to make these moves done before you get into the braking zone or into those corners, or else it's not going to end well. But still, like I said, a good start from Ivako, who's leading the race after starting in second. Cohen lurking behind in second, or now what's going on here? I think it's... Classic. Oh, yeah, okay, just the typical order switch. I got a little bit worried there as it was showing Cohen in the lead, so I thought maybe Mivako had a bit of a moment through into turn 1, turn 2, as we know that is a bit of a corner that is prone for accidents here, just losing the back end. But it is still Mivako leading the way. There we go. Now things have sorted itself out. But Cohen still sticking close behind. I think maybe conserving those tires a little bit with KTM Sweden in a bit of more of a distant third now. Leparc in 4th, but being very much so pressured by Mark, who's in 5th, doesn't quite have enough pace to close up to try a move on Laparta, but Irish New Potato was able to get a move done on Marksmiller, and Jordan got by as well, as it looked as though through the braking section there, Marksmiller not having, maybe going a little bit deep, leaving the session. You don't like to see that connection issues, as now he might get swamped, because that's Ephraim, Krishna, and Lorenzo very close behind, and we know what happens when the AI takes over. They go much, much slower than the pace we see, and already Ephraim getting past, but the ghost of Marksmello putting up a fight here for his counterpart. But there we go, now we're seeing the overtakes done through the corners. But let's try to switch over to an actual battle on track here between drivers. Let's ride with Vito here, as he's close to V-Mark, and between Laparta, V-Mark, and Vito, 3 drivers oh so close together here. And what's going on with Dark, as he's falling down the order here? He lost out on 3 positions, as and 4 going very slowly here down the start-finish straight. I'm not seeing any wing damage, so I think maybe for Dark, it's just those hard tires, maybe struggling for heat. As now you're seeing Chris Nerazzurro getting very close behind, unable to get the overtake done, but still, Dark really missing that jump here in the early stages of the race, after qualifying in 12th, all the way down in 18th now for the Red Bull driver.
Yeah, so far Lorenzo and Krishna, the biggest movers, each of them up 4 spots from the beginning of the race. Lorenzo's had a fantastic start, as well as Krishna, and yeah, our biggest losers so far is Potgetter down 5, and obviously Dark down 6 spots. So they're gonna have a bit of a recovery drive on their hands. Bit of
a battle going on here between Mark and Laparta, but of course, right as I speak up with it, that's the battle's kind of taken a bit of a breather, but a nice little side-by-side battle between the two of them, going through after the second straight, that little chicane there. A bit of a switchback move attempted from Mark, but Laparta covered that off very well and held on to that P4. But I think this battle is just getting started, especially now that DRS is open here, as we're past lap 3. We're going to start seeing these moves happen. We're going to start seeing some overtakes, as drivers are doing a good job keeping up with one another very well. And I think here in the midfield, you've got Ephraim trying to battle Jordan. Jordan, of course, trying to give a little bit of a cushion to his teammate who's right ahead, with Krishna's right behind Ephraim. So we've got a bit of a AlphaTauri. That's what happened here? That's Simi, I think, who had a bit of a moment here, as he's down into 18th. Potgetter and Marksmello having a battle, but I think that's still the ghost of Marksmello through there. But Simi in Sector 1, I think having a bit of a moment, maybe clipping the curb, losing the back end as he's falling down the order. Big battle here going on between Irish New Potato and Vito. It is the AlphaTauri who gets ahead. Vito down in 7th, and now I think Jordan is going to try to get a move done. They both have DRS on Irish New Potato, though. So Vito finds that second oomph, that second gear, and but just unable to get that move back on Irish New Potato. Krishna riding the curb a little bit, and nearly taking out Ephraim, I think, in the process there. Don't want to see that between teammates. But now, like I said, these battles are really starting to pick up with DRS open. Lots of drivers trying to go for these moves here down these long back straights of Sector 2, but it is very tough to keep it through with these chicanes right after the corners.
Yeah, you can see, I was riding on board with Jordan as he was having that battle there with Vito and New Potato, and you could just see the effects of the dirty air down through the end of that second DRS straight, just trying to get through that chicane. It's a pain in the butt, really, just to get the traction on the front wheels, get that turn in and that bite with the dirty air. So a lot of these drivers are going to want to make moves aggressively because it's going to hurt their tires.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing with these long back straights. You're really going to want to try to make sure you've got the overtake done more or less before you hit that braking zone, before you actually hit the corner. Because once you hit that corner, I think that's it. That's where the move, that's where the opportunity is done, unless you are 100% alongside, in which case it's really just the battle of wits depending on where you are. But speaking of moves, I think this is Mark. Well, Mark was thinking about making a move on Laparta, but once again having to hold back. Side by side though is Krishna and Jordan, as Krishna trying to go for an overtake to get that 8th. They're still going side by side down this second straight. Jordan slots in behind, as I think Krishna just had that tiny little bit more pace. But we've got now side by side, you're seeing it on your screen there in the distance between Mark and Laparta. They're still battling. Ooh, Laparta having a big moment, and that allowed Irish New Potato and Vito to get right past. So I think Laparta maybe clipping the back. And now that's Vito losing a few positions as Krishna and Laparta get past. Krishna and Laparta now going side by side. It's all going off here in Sector 3 of all places. So much battling here in the midfield. Krishna and Laparta still side by side through this section of corners. We've got a yellow flag, but no time to look at that now, as that's Chris Nerazzurro further behind having a moment. My goodness, they're still going side by side into turn 1. Who's going to get this position? It looks as though it is Krishna for now, as Laparta down into 7th. Irish New Potato finds his way up into 5th and putting pressure on Mark now. But right behind, it's still going to be a big battle between Laparta, Vito, and I think Jordan's going to get involved as well, as he wants to get past the Red Bull. And I think Vito maybe starting to feel that wear just a tiny little bit on those soft tires, as you're starting to see Jordan find that little bit of that extra pace on the mediums here on lap 6. But here down
Jordan's already out of VRS. He has 2%.
Really pushing in these early stages, I guess, is Jordan. So that might be good news for Vito. Irish New Potato, though, now getting past Mark, or CRL Mark, as I think I'm going to keep calling him V Mark here, so apologies to that. But here comes CRL Mark right back on Irish New Potato, and they're going side by side once again. But that was Mark who gets that position, takes that 4th place right back, as Irish New Potato slots into 5th. Doesn't have much ERS to work with himself, as he's going to have to rely on pure pace to try to overtake Mark on 4th, unless he wants to conserve, given Mark has much more ERS than the likes of Irish New Potato, and he's got track position to boot as well. But my goodness, what a stage of battling here on lap 5, lap 6. We've got another yellow flag here, as I think that looked to be Demort's having maybe a bit of a moment in Sector 3, as he loses out on one position. That's Elbiku getting past. That's Ephraim. He's the first driver to take their pit stop, getting off of the soft tires. He's going to put on either another set of softs or the mediums tires, depending on what he wants to do. It is going to be the medium tires. Here comes Irish New Potato back on V Mark. This battle is just is not stopping
Laparta's
here.
Around.
Uh-oh. What happened to Laparta? Did you see that?
No, I just saw a yellow flag in Sector 1, and he's just trying to get it going. Looks like no wing damage. Must have just been a spin, so his tires are going to be a little bit hot here, so he's going to have to take it easy here, especially with these low traction hairpin right here, so he can recover from this.
Must have been maybe similar to what we saw Simi do, and a little bit of an underrated, a section that a lot of drivers just sort of scoff their heads at, I feel, myself included when I drive. But so far this weekend in Div 3 and Division 2, we've already seen a few drivers have their moments in Sector 1 through that little, honestly, a little high-speed kink where you just ride the curb. But I'll finish that point later, as now Irish New Potato and Mark are going side by side once again. And this time it is Irish New Potato getting the overtake done. And was that Krishna going to try an overtake on Mark? I think he thought about it, but suffered more than he gained, as that's some end plate damage for Krishna, as I think he saw the opportunity, went for it, saw the gap, but unfortunately for Krishna, I think that gap just closed, and he's going to be diving into the pits a little bit earlier than he wanted. But Asunik, like you said, when you do take some end plate damage here around this circuit, especially in Sector 3, you're losing so much time, so much pace, you just have to get that wing changed.
Well, Eric, I don't know if you remember our discussion that we had during our race earlier in Div 3, but that section of track right there, when you were letting a driver by, I told you, it can get, the car can really just get a bunch of oversteer riding that bottom curb going into that heavy braking zone. As we saw there, the rear end of, I believe it was Mark there, got a little bit sideways and he had to come up to adjust, and unfortunately Chris had nowhere to go. It's just a product of the racing, but very technical part of the track to try and pass.
Oh, definitely, and that is even when you've got clean air. In my experience through that section, you have to brake a lot earlier than what the indicators tell you. Of course, if you do have the racing line on. But even more so when you're stuck with a driver behind, and that could have also just been a little bit of an overshoot. But here we go, we've got Mivako out on that fresh set of tires, going side by side with Elbiku. Now I think that is going to be advantage Mivako here, as yes it is, as he does get the overtake done on that fresher set of tires, as he's going to be trying to work his way back up the order here. But I'll switch over, because now we've got Irish Newt Potato putting a lot of pressure on KTM Sweden. Irish Newt Potato on those medium tires, so he is showing that extra jump, similar to what we're seeing Mark. But this is a really big battle that's about to brew here, especially if KTM Sweden is staying out, which he is. Because you're seeing, look at how close Irish Newt Potato is. Is he going to try to make a move into turn 1? It looks like it, as they're going to go side by side. KTM Sweden on the outside. Can we get a better angle? There we go. As they're still battling it out here. Gotta watch out here in this section. You don't want to take somebody out with you or take yourself out. They keep it clean, but it looks as though Irish Newt Potato does get ahead. But the question is for how long, as now KTM Sweden's going to have DRS, but here comes Mark, trying to make an overtake into that hairpin, but just the door was shut for Mark. But now he's got DRS, showing that pace on the medium tires as he now overtakes KTM Sweden, and that might be a sign for the McLaren driver that he might need to take a pit stop, as now he's starting to be overtaken by these medium tire runners, as he falls down into 4th after being in 2nd just a few corners ago, or about a sector ago now, I guess I could say. But still has a little bit of a cushion. Uh-oh, I'm seeing that's Laparta facing sideways. Yes, and Chris Nerazzurro. And Chris Nerazzurro, no front wing on that car, and that is going to be a long way to go to the pit stop. Does Laparta have any damage? No, Laparta, he's just got heated tires, but I didn't quite get to see what happened. I saw both cars there. Maybe, do you think they... Billy, did you see what happened there? Did they get caught up into an incident together, or was that
says Laparta. It might be a pit exit incident, as we see Laparta just came out of the pit with those medium tires on. He's had 0 laps on them, so that might be an indication that we may have had some contact on that pit exit. It is a bit of an awkward pit exit. You get kind of chucked onto the racing line in a high G-force right-hander, so we won't know until we find out from an incident report, because we're going to be left in the dark.
Yeah, that's the thing. Unfortunately, we didn't quite get to see, but I do feel, now that you're mentioning it, it could be the case. I was thinking either that or potentially with the damage Chris Nerazzurro had. My only other thought was possibly Chris Nerazzurro maybe clipping that curb like we've seen oh so often here this race, as well as Division 3, and maybe Laparta just having to take avoiding action depending on where that car was. But now that you're mentioning it, they were very close together on the minimap when I did look down quickly to see those yellow flags. So very much so could have been a pit exit incident. But now Mark and Newt Potato switching positions here, as we saw here. Laparta out of this session as he's had enough. He's retiring in the pit lane. So not what you were hoping for here for your first race after break week, to be retiring out of the session, but definitely not having that race he was hoping for. Chris Nerazzurro in the pits, he's getting that wing change, but I do think he's going to be continuing on. But for Laparta, that's potentially a lot of points that you're leaving on the board, given that there's still 18 laps to go in this race before it comes to its end.
Points behind Irish New Potato in the championship. He's within striking distance of P2 and only 30 points out of first. I won't question the decision. Obviously, he's had a very frustrating race, and I can relate to that. But you got to think of a bigger picture here when you're battling for these points here.
Yeah, that's
never
the
know.
thing.
Safety car could change the entire mold of this race, and it's just you never know situation. So.
Well, that's the thing. I completely understand where he's coming from, but like we were mentioning, safety cars could happen. We've already seen a lot of incidents here in this race alone, and with now 17 laps to go, anything can happen. and all it takes is that one safety car potentially to bring you right back into the race, especially if you're on that fresher set of tires and you just pass everybody as they're going through into the pits. But Laparta made that decision, can't go back on it now, and it's going to be an early preparation for next week's event for Laparta. And I would probably expect him to come back out with a bit of extra jump in his stride after this race. But back to the racing as we have Krishna and Elbiku going side by side now down the start-finish straight. Props to Elbiku for keeping it in there for as long as he had, as Krishna's on that fresh set of soft tires. So would expect him to have much more pace than Elbiku on the 10-lap-old hard tires. And now we are seeing that.
Up into 7th after starting from P18 or 19 rather on the same set of softs he started the race on. So kudos to him making it work. He could probably one-stop this race, maybe onto a medium tire, given the fact that he's obviously found a way to conserve these tires around this circuit.
And I think that sort of goes with the strategy you basically indicated from the start of the race. Keep it clean, and good things will happen. And it looks like D-Morse did exactly that. But his teammate Synchro here on that fresh set of soft tires just came out of the pit stop, making a nice little overtake on Potgetter, who's on a fresh set of medium tires, to go up into 14th. We're seeing some switches here in the order as now pit stops are starting to fall. We're seeing some fresh set of medium tires, but now look at Krishna right behind D-Morts now coming through into Sector 1. Is he going to try to lunge it down the inside? Yes, he is. Has to take a little bit of curb to do it, and the marshals didn't like that as they gave him a 3-second time penalty for the multiple warnings, and I feel I do have to agree with that as I jumped on board, and I don't think there was much track taken with that move. But Krishna, he's going to pull the Max Verstappen strategy of just get the overtake done and try to build that gap between himself and D-Morse rather than give that position back. But right behind them, here comes Ephraim now on Elbiku, overtaking to go up into 7th. So Elbiku was riding in a very strong position on those hard tires, but now we're seeing some of these drivers taking their pit stops, catching back up and re-overtaking. But look at Elbiku still keeping that nose in, going side by side with Ephraim, and he takes that position right back, so he's still got a lot of fight in him, I should say, on those hard tires as he goes right back into 7th and just says, no, you're going to have to do better than that to Ephraim if you want that overtake. So Ephraim back down into 8th, sticking right behind. You can see how close these cars are to one another. Gotta watch out not to get caught up. Oh no! Oh, right as I...
Minimal damage.
Wing damage. Commentators curse and a half as right as I switch on board to Ephraim, we caught that incident. So apologies to Ephraim for that if you had the stream open and that's if I had anything to do with that from switching on board. But you're seeing him dive into the pits. And that's another pit stop for Ephraim. Not what he was hoping for here, as he was running in a very good, very solid position, but just getting a little bit too anxious on the acceleration on the exit of that corner, and maybe something similar to what had happened to D-Morts in qualifying, in part possibly due to that curb as well, where that curb just completely sends the car off, like we had discussed in that qualifying session earlier.
I also really want to point out here that Mavako, with an undercut, has gained a 5-second advantage over his rival for the win here in Cohen, and he is actually only 1 second or 2 seconds back from Mark. So Mavako playing the strategy, 4 seconds rather, I can't count. But the undercuts worked flawlessly for Mavako here and put himself in a great position, because I'm pretty sure he's going to try and eke these tires out to the end. Not sure what other strategy he could do. Maybe if a safety car comes out, get a fresh pair of softs on, but he's put himself in a wonderful position.
Yeah, potentially what he might be hoping for with those mediums. I mean, he can definitely take them to the end here, I would think. We know he's got the, we know that Mivako does a very good job conserving his tires, and mixed in with the fact that this circuit, Yas Marina circuit, does not, like I mentioned, doesn't offer, it's not the worst track in the world as far as tire degradation is concerned. So I think he could be going to the end. He's got some clean air as well, so he's not stuck battling in this dirty air. And given that the likes of Mark and Newt Potato are going to have to take a pit stop here, that's put Mivako essentially in a net lead of the race once these pit stops are all said and done. Now, just I'm looking here on track. Michael Fierez Elbiku down in 8th right now. Here comes Jordan on that fresher set of medium tires, looking to make an overtake, trying a switchback move through the hairpin. Now going side by side. Is he gonna get the overtake? I think he is. Now, Elbiku is following right behind, but gonna have to watch out because he's got Lorenzo right behind him as well, who might be lurking in the background, trying to get an overtake, praying for a mistake. Oh, but there's some wing damage there from somebody.
Save by Jordan, if I could say myself. Oh my, he was all sorts of sideways there.
My goodness, I wish we got a better angle for that on the stream, as we really didn't quite get the best possible camera angle to see that save. But this battle is still carrying on. Jordan and Elbiku really having a solid battle here, as it is Jordan who gets 8th. Elbiku falls down to 9th. Lorenzo's in 10th, but that wing damage actually was from the Ferrari of Lorenzo, as I think he maybe got caught up and maybe clipped the rear of Michael Fierez, just trying to take avoiding action into that braking zone. That it's another one of those braking zones that you have to brake a little bit earlier than you'd expect, especially in dirty air, or else you are going to go deep. And I think that was a prime example there. But we're seeing that here, riding with Lorenzo, the effect that slight wing damage can have on the car, going a little bit wide through the penultimate corner, losing out on some time to Elbiku, who's ahead of him. And that's on those fresher set of tires. And I think we're going to start seeing it more and more here through Sector 1. And the next lap, oh yeah, you see that going very wide, and that might open the door for Dark to maybe make a push here as they get down the back straight, as Dark just closed that gap right up down to half a second, and closing is the Red Bull here.
Potgetter right behind him too, looking to take advantage of the misfortune of the Ferrari as well.
Speaking of, Potgetter might be able to make. Yeah, right, making a run on Dark here, as Potgetter with that much fresher tires had some DRS to work with as well, gets the overtake done well before the braking zone, and you're seeing Lorenzo once again going wide, does come back on track, does have some DRS, but it looks like it might not be enough, as look at Potgetter, look at the pace he has, being forced to the outside, and might need to back out, but still keeping that nose in there, trying a switchback move, working to perfection, as he probably foresaw Lorenzo going a little bit wide on the exit of that corner, so took the inside line, and like I said, whips that switchback to perfection. A little bit of shake and bake there from Nick Potgetter, as he goes up into 10th, Lorenzo down in 11th, and might now once again going to have to keep Dark behind, but that might be a pit stop for Lorenzo, as clips the wall there, and yeah, I think that was the last straw. Oh no, was that I was gonna say, was that a penalty from? We have a never mind. That's I thought we had maybe a moment there on track, but nope. That's Lorenzo. He's had enough. He's not happy with his race, so that's an early retirement. So the second driver out. Mivako now, you were saying, had a 4-second gap to try to close up to Mark. That gap down to 0.4 of a second now, as
Owen also pulled that gap down 2 seconds, only 3.1. Mivako has to get past Mark to save those tires and then just get that lead back out. He's stuck in the dirty air V Mark here. We brought it up before, the importance of it. You can see he's just struggling right here. Dirty air, huge impact on the front of that car.
Oh yeah, and you're seeing that there, just as I want to switch over, just to catch the end of the move on Potgetter on Elbiku. Elbiku, they're running different strategies, as like we saw, Elbiku, similar to what Dark was ideally planning on, looking to go a long ways on those hard tires, maybe hoping for a safety car. Speaking of Dark, he overtakes Synchro right behind, but Synchro coming right back, as Sinker on those soft tires, still having a lot of pace. Mark dives into the pits, so thankfully for Ivaco, he didn't necessarily need to get that moved on track, so he does get that net P2. But Cohen, who's right behind, the gap is down to 1.8 seconds, and Cohen is on slightly fresher tires, having taken that pit stop just a few laps later than Ivaco. So this is really going to be, I think, a solid battle that's going to brew come the end of the race, given the gap Cohen is showing to, given the gap Cohen is showing to Ivaco. And Krishna, on those soft tires, will need to take another pit stop. But a very solid drive from the Renault driver up into 4th right now, and sort of driving his own race for the moment.
Oh my goodness, what is this?
Look at this. That's Dark out! The Red Bull of Dark is out of this section, and oh no, that's in Sector 1! This sector, that section I kept talking about all race. I figured it was only a matter of time before that happened. We've seen constant mistakes, and there we go. You see the Red Bull of Dark right before it disappeared with the onboard of Ephraim. But like I said, that corner, that little kink that we're gonna see Simi go through right now, right around.
I know exactly what happened.
Yeah, right around here. Times. Yep, clipping that outside curb just a little bit too much, and we saw, I think it was Laparta having that moment, Chris Nerazzurro having moments through that section. We saw it once or twice in the Division 3 race, and it takes its first victim here. And like I was saying, that's a corner a lot of drivers tend to just, they sort of brush off. It's not really a corner you would think at first glance is overly difficult. But
wow, Ivaco pits for the softs here. So Ivaco, I was going to mention, has a strategy over his rivals right now, as he's the only one besides D-Morts and Ephraim, and obviously Marshmallow's Ghost, who haven't taken time penalties here. So he's put himself in a good position as Vito stays out and takes the lead of the race here. But Irish New Potato, obviously, he eked out those tires to get to the point where he's going to have a net P2 here, and Ivaco will have to continue that fight with Cohen, but on different tires now. So actually, they're all on soft. So,
and for Vito, I'm honestly, I would agree with that decision to stay out, as his hard tires are only, well, I'm gonna say only 6 laps old, so can definitely go to the end. But the question is he gonna be able to fend off the likes of Irish New Potato, Ivaco, Cohen, who are all right behind on the soft tires? That's the thing, I don't think so, unless everybody behind they're just stuck battling amongst each other, which could potentially allow Vito to create that gap he needs on the hard tires. Now, one of the things I do want to mention too is, I kept talking about it, El Biku, Michael Fures, he essentially got that free pit stop that he was probably hoping for on those hard tires. He is only down in 10th, but with this grid closing right back up, he's essentially been able to no-stop, considering he took his one and only pit stop under safety car, and puts himself into a solid position to get a really good haul of points here at Abu Dhabi. Might need to get a few overtakes, though, if he's looking to get a few more, but in 10th right now, and honestly has shown a lot of pace here, even on those hard tires. Lots of battle. I mean, he's shown that, the battling mindset, not giving away any positions lightly, so I'd expect El Biku maybe to get a little bit of an extra jump here with this safety car, maybe seeing that he's in the he's in contention for a solid haul of points.
Yeah, and I want to go back to the qualifying incident with D-Morts. D-Morts right now, if you check a look at position change, up 13 spots. He didn't pit here on the safety car, but he had just taken his pit stop a few laps before the safety car come out. So he's put himself in a prime position, going from, I want to say it was the bottom 2 spots of the grid. Not really sure. I mean, I can do the math right now, I guess. But up 13 spots, looking pretty right now. Is Christian at 2 up 9? El Biku with that free pit stop 6 spots. And Vito and Irish New Potato up 5 respectively. So, like I said, Laparta could have waited for the safety car. He had the pace to be able to overtake some cars to get himself back in the points. But I guess that's a moot point now.
Yep, moot point. I guess it just wasn't meant to be for Laparta. But like you're mentioning, Demorts, and I quickly, while you're making your point, I did the math. Demorts was, he did start the race from the back of the grid, and up 13 positions, up into 6th. He is on the medium tires, though, given he did take that pit stop just a little bit before the safety car came out, similar to right around when Vito took that pit stop. But once again, in a very solid position, as that's Jordan taking a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags here under safety car. So not what you want to be seeing, penalties under safety car. I honestly don't know how that penalty would have been.
How that. What did he do? I mean, there's no delta right now. I don't believe that's a justifiable and just penalty. That's I mean, obviously Jordan knows the deal. He'll report it. And I gotta say too, Jordan's had a fantastic race here today. Top 10. He's been hanging around all day. He's battling with his teammate, picking through people like Vito. A lot of these guys that are at the front of the field. Jordan been a little quiet this season. This is a fantastic race. You'd like to see Jordan up there. Maybe the new names giving him a little bit of a new bit of fire in the belly to get going. But good result for him. A little biased with the AlphaTauri, but still. Also respect to the driver itself. Fantastic result.
Yeah,
a lot of these drivers we saw in the league versus league race have been doing pretty well today, you know?
Oh, definitely, and I think it kind of goes. Well, the extra practice definitely helps with that. If I'm gonna be honest, getting to be able to race that last week in the league versus league. But I mean, of course, when you're back into the actual league race, I mean, I myself, I'll be honest, I did a lot of sports growing up, and there was always the other argument of after you go to one of those tournaments, those fun events that is outside of the regular league, you come back to your normal league race, and a lot of times you find yourself just flat, right? You are still riding that high of, let's say, the league versus league, the tournament style, the difference, and then you come back to regular, and that pace isn't there for that first race. But here in Division 2, if anything, it's shown even more pace with that extra practice. So definitely nobody out flat here today. And even looking through
especially Mivako and New Potato as well. I mean, New Potato obviously had. I believe he was the one that got the DNF in the second Abu Dhabi race. So, or one of the races. But it's good to see him back on form here. And Mivako and New Potato, like we said, separated by 20 points. And here they are on track, nose to tail. So, this is how last season Div 2 was one of the closest championships we saw outside of Vito, just being super consistent. And I think we're getting another treat like that again this year, and that's just fantastic to see.
Oh yeah, and this is exactly what we want to be seeing here. Not only is it the Mivako and Irish New Potato 20 points behind on the championship for the lead, but also here battling amongst each other on track for what is going to be very, very important points in that championship. As well, with Vito in the lead, Nude Potato in second, and Mivako in third. It's not just like they're not just running their own race for the sake of points. They're going to be battling on track for these very, very important points, and especially for the victories here. As I mean, of course, you'll get more points for a win. You'll get more points the higher position you are. But this is something that I think once we do go green, which I'll be honest, it is going to be at the end of this lap for lap 21. This is going to be a battle that is there's going to be no love lost, but we know that these drivers are not going to be giving any favors to the other as they're going to be dueling it out here for the 7 laps remaining here in this race once we do go to green flag. But
Irish New Potato is stuck between 2 world champions. Obviously, Mivako last year putting together a championship run for the ages in Div 3, and Vito himself doing exactly the same thing. The epitome of consistency, and Irish New Potato just trying to put his name and mark here. So,
oh yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. I think he wants to be able to say, well, I'm not between 2 world champions. I'm part of the world champions battling it out on track. But really can, I mean, depending on how this plays out with Mivako, I think it could very much be a statement from Irish New Potato here to start this last third of the calendar. But with the safety car coming in, we've got collisions here under the safety car restart. But here, speaking of restart, it's Vito leading the way as he's coming across the line. We'll be able to talk about that a little bit later, but I want to take a look at this restart as here comes Irish New Potato now on Vito. Everybody looking, for the most part, to get through the restart relatively cleanly, but I think here at the end of Sector 1 going into Sector 2, this is where we're going to start seeing moves start to happen. The likes of KTM Sweden getting very close on D-Morts, and big battles going on here in the midfield between Jordan, KTM Sweden, Mark right behind as he's on that pit stop. We're already seeing some overtakes further down on track, but here we go, the first of 2 long straights. Are we going to see Mivako maybe try to make a move? No, Irish New Potato actually gaining a little bit of time down the straightaways as he's trying to use the toe from Vito to his advantage, but I do want to give props to Vito for the restart on those hard tires. KTM Sweden losing out on a few positions down in 9th as Mark and Jordan got ahead. Hang on a minute, here comes Nude Potato, very close to Vito, but just unable to close up before the corner comes to an end. So it is still Vito leading the way here on lap 21, but for how long? As now you're seeing Nude Potato and Mivako oh so close here for the top 3. But crucially, something we haven't brought up is I'm seeing these penalties here. Mivako, the only one of the top 3 who doesn't have any penalties to his name here on lap 21. Sorry?
He's the only one in the top 12. You can see the dirty air starting to affect Mivako. That's going to open the door for Cohen and Krishna right behind him. Cohen just pushing Mivako through the corner. Like, get on with it. Oh, this is going to be a great final 6 laps of this race.
Definitely going to be fantastic here. And here comes Irish Nude Potato once again right behind Vito. Is he maybe going to try to make a move into this braking zone here at the end of Sector 1? No, is going to stick behind here. Is going to stick behind Vito here on lap 22. Oh no, and there's contact. A big half spin. It's Calamity here in lap 22. As now that's going to bring out another safety car as Vito gets caught up. Oh no, and that's Cohen being spun under safety car. He gets back on track, but losing out on many positions. My goodness. Calamity, crazy scenes here on lap 22. We're back under safety car. Mivako leading the way. He's got a penalty now though, so everybody other than Ephraim and Mark Smello having a penalty to their names. But I get a bit of a breather. But
Mivako received a 5-second penalty for hitting Vito, but he had nowhere to go. Irish New Potato got to the back of Vito, got Vito sideways. Mivako just looking for an open door just to avoid Calamity, ends up collecting Vito, getting assessed a penalty, ultimately damaging the suspension terminally for Vito, retiring him from the race, and then everything just absolutely came untied through the mid-pack back. It's, ooh.
My goodness. Apologies, I'm a little bit speechless of what had happened there. I mean, Sunik, thank you for giving us that rundown of what had happened, because it just, for me, it all happened so quickly. It was just like, things happen, accidents happen, all of a sudden Vito's out of the race. So something I can say is a bit of a disappointing weekend for the Red Bull team here in Division 2, as that's both drivers out of the race so near the end. Vito probably extremely frustrated with that, and that might be something that the stewards will end up taking a look at.
Yeah, but, I mean, I don't want to speculate, but the thing is, Irish New Potato had to have understood that he's going to have a pace advantage over those hard tires. We're talking 2 completely different compounded tires here, and we're approaching DRS activation, and honestly, Vito was going to be a sitting duck. It was just a little bit of ambition that just honestly didn't pay out, and it just kind of caused a little bit of calamity, and the rest of the drivers unfortunately is just a victim of circumstance, and it's got to suck for a lot of these guys that were just had nothing to do with it, and it's just gonna be a big one for the stewards tomorrow night. So, but hopefully there was no wrongdoing there, and it was honestly racing, but gonna have to take a closer look.
Oh, definitely gonna have to take a closer look for sure, because that was like I said, I think Irish New Potato maybe felt the pressure. Excuse me, from I think he felt the pressure potentially from Mivako, who was right behind as they were oh so close. Maybe kind of gripping the steering wheel a little bit too hard, trying to get past Vito, put that car between himself and Mivako for the sake of the championship. But we'll have to see how this all plays out as far as the steward decisions are concerned in here in this race. Because we're back under safety car. It is Mivako now leading the way, with Krishna, who's in second, got past Nude Potato, who's in third. and Demorts finds himself in a nice little P4 on those medium tires, gaining 2 positions out of that. But I do think one of the drivers, other than Vito, who may have suffered the most out of that safety car, was Cohen, as I think potentially in what could have been a separate incident, Cohen got essentially spun around on the exit there, maybe having nowhere to go himself, but getting back on circuit, lost out on a lot of positions, even under safety car, given he was off track trying to get back on. But for Cohen, down in 11th now, and with what's going to be probably 3 laps to go once the safety car does come in, I would assume it's going
Demorts
to come in
sitting
at
in 4th.
Yeah, so Demort's definitely benefiting out of that.
This is looking good for the guys that, especially Demorts, obviously, like, so unfortunate, and he's got to be elated with the results he's seeing on screen right now. It'll be a short sprint to the finish, so buckle up, boys.
Yep, it's going to be a good one, as I do expect potentially to start lap 25 out of 28. I do think the safety car is probably going to come in at the end of this lap, unless it is going to wait for Chris Nerazzurro, who's taking a pit stop, putting on those soft tires to go to the end of the race now.
Might as well, he's got nothing to lose there.
That's the thing, nothing to lose, everything to gain. Maybe snag a fastest lap for himself on those freshest set of tires, similar to Mark Mello, who I think took a pit stop as well, as they're both down in 14th and 15th here at this in these latter stages of the race. But we'll have to see. Under safety car, though, it is Mivako leading the way, Krishna in 2nd, Irish New Potato in 3rd, Demorts and then Jordan round out the top 5. Now, if I just take a quick peek at the penalties here, oh no, Demorts up into 4th, but I'm looking at the penalties. He and Jordan might be falling down the order a little bit more than they were hoping for. Demorts 13 seconds of penalties, Jordan with 18 seconds of penalties here, as the safety car is coming in to end lap 24. Mivako leading the way has 5 seconds, Krishna only has 3, and Irish New Potato in 3rd has 8 seconds. Now, Mark in 6th, only with 3 seconds, so could be a bit of a jump up from Mark if he's just able to keep pace, keep it close.
Now, my question to you, Eric, as a steward, and I, a former steward myself, do you believe in your heart of hearts that that 5-second penalty Mivako received, do you think that was fair and that that'll stick and hold up? Because this is the difference between whether or not Mivako's on the top step of the podium or the second step. Because Krishna only has 3 seconds of penalties. So potentially, if Mivako pulls out that 2-second gap, which we know he's got the pace to do so, it would be a moot point. But it's got to be a little frustrating sitting in that side of that car right now for Mivako.
Oh, I'm sure it is. But I mean, of course, here he still has 3 laps to work with. He's on those soft tires. Krishna is right behind, putting pressure. As Irish New Potato taking a pit stop. Chris Nerazzurro, that's all for naught, as he's out of this race. As I think he may have had a moment on the exit of the final corner. Irish New Potato's out of the session as well. He's had enough. That's it for Irish New Potatoes. So leaving a lot of points on the table here. And now Mivako potentially breathing a sigh of relief here in the championship battle, as he sees his biggest rival leaving the weekend with no points whatsoever now.
Yes, but Mivako still trying to get that first all-elusive win here in the Division 2. We know what he's done in the past in Division 3, but he's just trying to make his mark here. Oh, my goodness, Krishna.
But speaking of, Krishna trying to make a move here in these dying stages. They're going side by side for the lead on track. Lots of elbows out here from Krishna, it looks like, trying to shut the door on Mivako. So that's a little bit of an interesting defending there for what I'm seeing with the angles on stream here. I think maybe Krishna could have thought that he already had the overtake done, so just trying to close any possibility. But Mivako was definitely still there. But for Mivako now in 2nd, and Krishna is now starting to create a bit of a gap. So potentially, even with the penalty there, could be a little bit moot point, as Krishna got past, and if he's able to really grow that gap, that's the thing, it might not make much of a difference. But now Demorts up into a podium position here for the time being. But I'm
Crazy,
sure
right?
after penalties could change a little bit here, with Mark now putting some pressure on Jordan here for P4 of the race in these latter stages on lap 26. And we'll see, has a lot of ERS to work with, but a lot of drivers do now with these two very close safety cars to one another. But here on the soft tires, let's see, is Mark going to have some pace down this long back straight, the first of two back straights, to maybe try to overtake Jordan on track and push, make a move on Demorts, try to push for that move to get that podium without having to rely on possible penalties. Not on lap 26, as with the lack of DRS, it is difficult to get these overtakes, but is using some ERS to his advantage here, it seems. But I think Jordan using a lot himself, but actually doesn't have much to work with. Here comes Mark going down the inside. Jordan left some room there, and Mark just didn't have anywhere to go. Wasn't able to keep that car alongside enough to warrant trying to go side by side through that chicane area. So Mark going to have to wait potentially one more lap, but does have ERS as an advantage and maybe some DRS next lap, depending on when that gets active. But speaking of, but I'm looking here, Krishna really took the lead of this race and honestly hasn't really looked back all that much, as he's now built a 1.2 second gap to Mivako for the lead. DRS is enabled now, as now Demorts is closing to within 1 second of Mivako, with Jordan and Mark still lurking right behind. And now Nick Potgetter 3/10 behind Elbiku, as he might try to make a move. Ooh, Elbiku going a little bit wide on the exit, similar to what we saw, I think it was it Dark or Lorenzo do, one of these drivers here earlier in the race. But I think now with the help of DRS, we might see Potgetter get a move, try to get a move done, try to get P7. I'll switch over to Mark though, as he's closing up on Jordan. Jordan does have DRS. Demort's a bit of a sitting duck, but Mark had nowhere to go, as wasn't going to force that 3 wide, but I think he might try to follow Jordan right behind. Ooh,
Oh,
slight
no.
little bit of contact maybe between Jordan and Demorts, as Demorts takes a bit of a half spin. He loses out on that position, but now here comes Mark down the outside of Jordan well before the corner. So Mark gets the net result he wanted, up into P3 on the penultimate lap here. Now Cohen and Elbiku battling. Oh no, and that's Cohen in the wall. Cohen is in the wall here on the through that chicane section. Gets back on track, was facing the wrong way, but from bad to worse here for the dying stages from Cohen, as he was in a very good position, but now finding himself in 13th out of 13th as far as the running drivers are concerned.
Mivako still keeping that within the 3 seconds, so it's not a way that Mivako would want to get a win here, but if he does get that penalty appealed, he is putting himself in position on the last lap here, so we could see it potentially happen.
Yep, and I think that might be what he's trying. Just as long as he can stay within the clean air, keep that gap, keep it clean. He's got just a few sectors to go now, and possibly a hopeful appeal for Mivako, as Cohen, he's had enough. He's retiring out of the session, and lots of drivers now kind of leaving guaranteed points on the table here in these dying stages. He just had one more lap to go, but I don't think he wanted to take that last pit stop, was Cohen, as he's retiring out down to 12 drivers. Let's see here. Here comes Ephraim, though, going to try to make a move on Elbiku. They're going to go side by side into the braking zone, and it looks as though Ephraim Tabone does get the overtake to go up into 8th, but Elbiku is really making a push here. Like I said, he's not going to give up any positions without a fight, as he's trying to take this position right back with the help of DRS to go up into 8th, and he does get the move done. And that's, still going side by side, is now KTM Sweden and Potgetter have been battling it out. Potgetter gets the move done on track, so really a last few lunges of overtakes here in these dying stages of the race. Demorts, I thought he was going to try to make a move on Jordan, but doesn't quite have enough room. But about to cross the final corner now is Krishna, who sees the fireworks. He takes the victory on track. Mivako in second, and it looks to be Mark rounding out the podium as Jordan in fourth. But Demorts, that's Nick Potgetter up into fourth now with the help of penalties, and Ephraim actually getting that overtake done as everything shook up near the end. There we go. It is the Renault of Ephraim in fourth. Potgetter, I think, rounds out the top 5 as the likes of Jordan and Krishna fell down the order with the help of those penalties. But my goodness, what an end to the race that was.
I don't know how to do this post-race interview here, because I feel like, as an unbiased opinion, that I feel maybe Mivako doesn't deserve the 5 seconds. But I also got to give credit to the fact that Krishna, who you just mentioned before the race, had the podium last week and follows it up with a P1 on track. It's going to be a tumultuous interview process today, I gotta say.
Yeah, it is going to be a tough one. A bit of a bittersweet podium interview. I mean, of course, if you're in Mivako's shoes, but still, you got to give credit where credit is due to Krishna for bringing that car, not only getting the victory, but from 14th on the grid up to a victory on track. What a drive, though, from Krishna. Whether it does end up with the win or a P2, you still got to give credit where credit is due. But on track here for potentially an early vote for it for sure. But just to take us through the final order here, one last time, it is Krishna who gets the victory on track, with Mivako coming in second, CRL Mark getting the final step of the podium, Ephraim in fourth, Potgetter rounding out the top 5, KTM Sweden coming in sixth, so a solid drive here from the McLaren driver, with Demorts in seventh, Synchro in eighth, Simi in ninth, and Elbiku Michael Fear is rounding out the top 10. Jordan falling all the way down to 11th with those penalties, 21 seconds. My goodness, at the end of it there. Mark Smell in 12th, and Cohen rounding out the finishing the classified drivers with the rest of the drivers there, as I didn't have time to go through, did DNF, so will not be classified, will not be receiving any points in this race due to the retirements or the crash outs. But my goodness, a little bit of I don't want to say a mundane race, but as far as Division 2 is concerned, for the first 2/3, a little bit of business as usual. Then the safety car came out, and everything just got switched all on its head after that. But I guess we'll have to jump into the post-race interviews. Did we have drivers who jumped in yet for the...
Nobody deleted the drivers at the end of several weeks ago's proceedings, so I just had to go on the Discord and just tag Mivako, Krishna. I can't find V-Mark because he's C-Mark now. Oh, well,
there we go. He found us.
So, and Krishna as well.
Yeah, Krishna found us.
Good evening.
Good evening.
What's going on, boys?
Hello.
So let's see. I'm just jumping into the showroom here. So Sunik, I'll let you get started with these with the post race interviews. So take your pick.
Well, let's start with third place here, formerly known as V-Mark. Mark, take us through the race. You know, it was pretty exciting there. Late safety car really messed with the order. Strategy-wise, it was pretty much a moot point towards the end, as everybody kind of went to a soft tire to get the fastest race possible and gain the advantage on everybody else. But just run us through your race and tell us how it went.
No, it was a good race. I just made a very stupid error from my end, which is I was doing the medium soft strategy, and when I went to go pit for the softs, I didn't realize I had the medium selected, so that was a stupid thing from my end, which unfortunately cost me quite a bit. I was thinking about the win, but overall it was still a good race. I mean, P3, I wish I didn't get the 3-second penalty, gotten past Mivako, but I'll take it anyway. It was a good race.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I did not notice during the comms that you ended up going a medium. It was just, honestly, there was a point in that race where there was so much going on. It was Eric just gasping for air. But yeah, it was a good race from you. Kept it quiet, but overall just managed to get an eke through. Obviously, we had the problems with the Irish New Potato. Just didn't really have it, and retired in the pit, giving up points. But huge points for you, V Mark, or CRL Mark. Sorry. I'm going to keep saying I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Eric, any questions for Mark?
I mean, I think you really covered it there, Mark. You kind of just, I mean, I don't think I'll be honest, on the stream, I didn't really give you all that much love. Apologies for that, but you kind of just stuck to your own race, and you got your solid finish out of that. So I do want to congratulate you on the podium. It was a fantastic drive. But I think we'll head over to Krishna. I think you joined us here. Krishna, can you hear us at all?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hey.
So I'll start off by saying congratulations for the win here on track. And I mean, I'll start as I always do. What were your thoughts? Take us through that race after a very solid recovery drive, after maybe not the best qualifying from you here in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, like after the quali in P14, I just thought I'd take it as a bit of practice. Just a bit of competitive racing on a Sunday, chilled. Then I went to the front and broke my front wing on Mark's car on lap 6, and I already thought, okay, race over. But the safety car really helped me, staying there in front after pitting, and then I was a bit lucky about the crash in front that I wasn't affected by it. So yeah, a bit of a lucky win, but I'm still really happy about it. 3 weeks ago we talked about my first league race podium. Today the first win, so I'm more than happy.
Well, that brings me to my next point. We're going to have to pull in Mavako here. Mavako, what a fantastic race. Unfortunately, there was that incident with Irish Sweet Potato and Vito that could have cost you a victory here, but I'm sure that you're going to appeal a penalty like that, as honestly you had nothing to do with that. You were just looking for a place to get through cleanly, and unfortunately there was a Red Bull parked on your wing. So it pains me, man, because obviously huge fan of yours, love the guy, Div 3 thing, but take us through that. It was an extreme fight. You took the undercut over, I think it was Cohen. You had a huge undercut. When you came out and things cycled through, you had over a 5.5 second gap. You were trying to close down the gap to Mark and Irish New Potato, who had a different strategy to yours, running the medium tires. And it kind of seemed like Mark held you up a little bit, and Cohen kind of tracked you down. But once Mark kind of pulled in the pit, everything kind of even keeled out. So just run us through the race, and especially that late safety car incident that saw Vito retire. Just run us through it all, Mavako.
Well, yeah, like you said, you already told my race. Thank you. But no, the quali was good. It was a good fight between me and Koen, so I know it has a little bit of competitivity between the two of us. I also know that I had a little bit more of a quali setup than a race setup. So never mind, I have a good start immediately on P1, but then Cohen was faster than me, so he passed me fair enough. Then I thought, the undercut, we will try it, and I go into the mediums. The mediums on the first lap felt really good, and I saw on the minimap that Koen is keep on going and going on that soft tire. So I was like, okay, his tires will be bad at the end of the race, so I keep on pushing. And then indeed I have a little bit of traction from ISRL Mark. I thought I'm going to pass him on the second TRS stroke, so I'm going to save a little bit energy on the first. But it didn't happen quite. Mark was really fast on that second straight, so I realized I'm going to go a little bit more aggressive. And when he turned on in the pits, I passed him, and I was on the hunt for New Potato, and then the safety car and the accident. So I was like, New Potato was really pushing him to pass Vito, but then he pushed a little bit too hard. He collapsed Vito. He spun and said, hey, there is a little bit of space on the right side. I go, and on my side it looked like New Potato pushed the car of Vito into my car. I got 5-second penalty and a wing damage. So I was like, yep, here goes my luck again, here goes my win again. But like you say, I'm going to celebrate it like a win and appeal it to the stewards.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That race, me and Eric are talking about it. It started off a little bit slow for all the guys, and comparable to the action that we're used to seeing. But the second half of that race, I was sitting here stressed out, and I'm just in the booth. I got nothing invested on anything's going on track, and neither does Monkeys. But it was stressful just watching. The gaps were closed. The gaps were close. They were tight. The racing was competitive, tight. People had their elbows out, but in a respectful manner. This is one of the best races I've seen you guys race, and it was honestly truly a pleasure to call this one. I can't speak for Eric, but I'm sure he's got to emulate the same passion I had for this race. So again, congrats to you guys on the podium. What an excellent race, and way to kick off coming out of the break. This is great. It's going to set up a really good run towards the end of the season.
Oh, definitely, and that's Sunik. You took the words out of my mouth. My goodness, that was such a fantastic race to watch here in the commentators booth. And I mean, for you guys on the podium, I hope it was as exciting to drive as it was for us to watch. And for everybody watching at home, I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. But I think that'll just about do it here for the stream as far as the Division 2 Championship is concerned. But don't go anywhere. In about 30 minutes' time, we will have the main event. It'll be Division 1's turn here at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And if what we've seen so far today is any indication, you're definitely not going to want to miss that. But on behalf of Asunik, I've been Fallen Monkeys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, have yourselves a fantastic day.
See you in